So for some reason, you all want to understand how we create Patch Tuesday bugs, right? That's why you're here. The title wasn't a very good title. I didn't make the title up. And the bureaucracy is once the title's submitted, you can't change it. Well, I'm going to be covering how WSD, which is the group I'm in, Windows Servicing and Delivery Team. We're about 650 people now in the Windows Engineering Group who are responsible for building, operating, running, and creating Patch Tuesday and the feature updates that get shipped out to you every month and every 6 months. So for the next 10, 15 minutes, I'm going to take you behind the scenes and sort of explain what the process is, how we create those things, hopefully by giving you a little bit better visibility. It'll either help you in terms of lowering your frustration with us at times as you're waiting to get something fixed, or if I'm more successful, give you some insights in terms of how to work the process, work the system, so we can do a better job getting you what you need. So like I said, we are Patch Tuesday. We're the group who creates the security fixes. We're the group who packages up the quality fixes. We're also the group, by the way, for your machines at home. I'm the IT administrator for you. So your machines are connected to Windows Update Service. I push out the security updates to update your machines every month. And I also publish and update your machines with the feature updates every 6 months. And so we're the ones responsible for doing that for you, for your brothers and sisters, for your mom and dads. And so I apologize for those support calls you get from mom and dad when we patch your machines. I get those calls from my mom and dad too, so I know how that is. So Patch Tuesday, the monthly updates, those are what we call quality updates. There are two types of updates in Windows 10, quality updates and feature updates. Feature updates, because I won't talk about them again for us today, feature updates come out every 6 months. That's the only time that we add new features or functionality to Windows 10 or add new APIs. The monthly updates, Patch Tuesday, are just quality or bug fixes and security fixes to the existing feature set. We never add new capabilities. We don't change APIs during those monthly updates. Patch Tuesday is the second Tuesday of every month. All the products across Microsoft release their security updates on Patch Tuesday. The reason we do that is to coordinate. It's because as soon as one of us announces a security fix for an issue, basically the entire world knows about it. We don't want to leave any customer exposed for some period of time, so we publish all the patches for all versions of Windows and all their products at the same time. You might also see updates from us on the 3rd week or the 4th week. We call those the C release or the D release. B being the 2nd Tuesday, C the 3rd, D the 4th. The C and D releases are simply previews or early versions of the quality fixes that will come in the next month. Doesn't include security fixes, but just gives you early access to the quality fixes that will be released in the next month. So if you just wait until Patch Tuesday the following month, you'll get them anyway. If you want early access, you can try to install the C builds, C releases. They're optional. They're good fixes. You'll know it's coming in advance. You can sort of pre-test them. We don't make the security fixes available in those preview builds except for those customers or partners who participate in what's called our SUVP program. Again, because we don't want to disclose those security vulnerabilities until we actually ship the fixes out to users. Those Patch Tuesdays include security fixes. Again, these aren't new security capabilities like Windows Information Protection or AppGuard. These are fixes to the existing feature set, to the existing capabilities of the product. And our group does it for Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, Server 2000, all the way back to 2003 still today. And those come from out of the WSD group. And then functional issues, where the product has a bug in the existing feature set, we will go make those changes, either based upon our own testing or our own analysis, or as you'll see, issues that you or your ISVs report to us when we get those fixed. So those are the content payloads for the Patch Tuesday or the regular quality updates that go out every month. So I'll give you a little bit of a background before I sort of talk about what we do in Windows 10. Because we changed the process a fair amount since Windows 7. It's part of our move to this Windows as a servicing model. In previous versions of Windows, there were about 5,000 to 6,000 developers on the product with PMs. They worked on Windows 7 for roughly 3.5, 4 years. Last year tends to be a bit of a grind. Those folks work very hard and diligently to finish the product. They get together, they hold a ship party, they ship Windows 7, and then they all leave for 3 or 4 months and they go on vacation. I'm not exaggerating. The team would literally leave the campus and we would not see them for 3 or 4 months and they'd come back and ready to work on the next one. and they would hand that source code off to our organization, which at the time was about 200 people. So the code and the bugs created by 6,000 to 7,000 people were handed off to a group of about 200, and we would diligently run on the treadmill as fast as we can, fixing bugs that you report to us, and ship them out to you as users of Windows 7. You were probably not very happy or satisfied with my responsiveness to your issues during Windows 7, and frankly, that was why. I simply didn't have the scale or the capacity to respond to issues that came in. And because we had these moving builds, and the way that Windows 7 was serviced, it was more expensive to fix each build back then. So we changed things dramatically with Windows 10. The big team is now 15,000 engineers, doesn't go on vacation, because they're constantly shipping the next release of Windows 10. And that team is now responsible for fixing most of the bugs in Windows 10 report, because they fix them in the active branch that will go out in the next release. So our group is responsible for down-level issues, and then taking those fixes and making them available to all existing versions of Windows 10 that are still under servicing support. So what does it actually look like? So how many fixes do we do each month? These are quality fixes against the product. If you want to make a guess? 5, 6, 7? On average, going back past the last a bit on RS1, we average about 36 security fixes every month, and roughly 40 non-security or bug or quality fixes each month. We ship those out every month, not just in RS1, but again, that goes across all versions of Windows. So we're very, very good in terms of increasing the capacity and the speed by which we ship things out. I get asked a lot in terms of cumulative updates, etc. What's our regression, or what's the quality of those? So if you imagine I ship those out across multiple versions, so I'm doing basically hundreds of bug fixes every month, our regression rate has been 0.7 to 1% since Windows 10 shipped. So I think we're doing a pretty good job in terms of getting a large response of the bugs out to you as you ask for them, as we find about them. And a large part of this goes back to the fact that with the cumulative updates in Windows 10, we actually now can test those fixes against the exact version of Windows 10 that you have that you're running, because we've all got the same fixes on all devices. How many bugs do we get reported? So we have a large number of issues and bugs that we find through our own testing, we find through telemetry and feedback that comes in through people who's using it. And then, of course, you are sources of bugs as you use the product and you call CSS or use the feedback tool and report bugs into us. And we get about 3,000 of those a year, unique individual fixes or bug requests. And we service about 2,000 of those over the course of a year. So we're doing pretty good in terms of our ability, in terms of working through and being responsive to the bugs that come in from our customers. They're prioritized in terms of things that need to be fixed. Again, that's a consequence of using the engineering team now to do bug fixes, as well as the efficiency that comes from the servicing model that allows us to get fixes out to you quickly. Security fixes are the other key part of it. We get about 1,800 security cases reported to us every year. These come through our own testing, through third parties, to raise or find security issues. We service about 500 of those over the course of the year across multiple different branches of the product and versions of Windows. So we in fact have to service security fixes across about 15 code lines today for Windows 10 and all old previous versions of Windows 10. So when I do a fix like Spectre Meltdown or other fixes each month, it's not just one fix, but it goes across multiple different versions of products. And again, with Windows 10, same code base, it's relatively straightforward. But now take those fixes across Windows 8, Windows 7, Server 2003, etc. It becomes a little bit more complicated. So you didn't notice in terms of the quality fixes and the security fixes, the number of fixes that we actually ship doesn't equal the number of ones that are reported. How do we make that decision in terms of what gets fixed and what gets shipped out versus what doesn't each time? So this is the part in terms of understanding our process. So when you report something, either you can help us understand so we can do a better job servicing you, or you know how to work the system to get more likely your chance in terms of having your issue fixed quickly. First thing is, does it disrupt or impact critical systems? If you call in and you report a UI bug against Xbox, while we care and love about Xbox, it's not quite the same if there's a bug that brings down the servers at air traffic control. So of course, there's a notion in terms of what's the impact or the criticality of the bug and the impact of the customer's mission critical systems. Does it limit or interrupt the key functionality of the product? And so if you have a bug that basically breaks the functionality of the product with the key values of the service, it's highly important to us to fix that because we're not delivering against the value of that work to begin with. Is it just inconvenient or aggravating to the user? Again, needs to get fixed, but these are the cases where can we find workaround, or is this a work that we can do and fix it in the next release? Because we'll be shipping again in just a matter of months, a new feature update. So why do you go through that process in terms of asking us questions, helping us make the decision in terms of what we go do? Because every time we fix a code change, it's churn. Churn represents potential for regressions and potential of risk. And again, depending upon what you're using the product, you would like us to be very critical in terms of making churn in the product. If you're using a server product, your sensitivity around fixes is very different than somebody else who might be using it as a gaming platform. If you have a mission critical server, you probably don't want me fixing Xbox UI fixes on your server because it's not important to you. You don't use that code. So as we go through and analyze these things, we take a look in terms of what are the potential side effects of the fix, the product itself, and is this something we need to bake longer that will target for the next feature update? Because remember, since I ship every 6 months a feature update, I can fix a bug in the next update for Windows, and at most it's going to be 6 months out before that. And then it gets much broader testing and much better usage in terms of the engineering process before it gets shipped. It's got to require a customer. And when I say require a customer, it's a customer who actually wants the fix and is going to deploy the fix before the next feature update. We get a lot of bug requests. People are simply letting us know there's a particular issue, but it's not necessarily a customer who's asking for it and says they need it to unblock them or something they need to get deployed. And so certainly having customers who want and need the fix is an important piece. And then last, of course, is the risk. Again, making a change in the UI, fix that Xbox UI bug is much less riskier than a change to the kernel, the memory manager, and the side effects it may cause, and therefore how long I want to bake and how broad I want the coverage to go. And so as you report bugs or these issues, understand these are the process that we'll go through in terms of making the decisions. And if you report something in terms of the schedule, it might take us longer to get that fixed. You might not see it at the next feature update. Rather than a quick fix, they'll come out in the next Patch Tuesday. Here's a change in terms of the way we do this now from Windows 7. And this goes towards our commitment to you around app compat and not having an impact from updates. So I'll jump to the bottom. Right now, the average time from a reporting to a bug getting fixed is 90 days. We have a lot that go much faster than that. We have some that go slower than that. So the average is 90 days. And here's what's going on in the particular fashion. The bug gets filed, it gets triaged, it gets identified as something that we want to go fix. It then gets investigated, it gets fixed. There's a code review by the engineering team who owns that particular feature in the product. And all this work is not going on in the branch of code that the bug's reported against. So as an example, if you reported a bug in the last 3 or 4 months against 1809 or 1803, which is the current version of Windows 10, this work is actually being done to fix that bug first in 1809, which is what's about ready to ship. And the reason we do that is twofold. One is that's where the main engineering team is working. They're going to go fix the bug. They fixed it in 1809. That fix now gets flighted out to all the Windows Insider Preview community. We have millions of users who are using that. They flight it, they validate it, and sign off on that bug and fix the problem and is good. And only once that's occurred, we then bring that bug and backport that to the previous versions of Windows 10 that are still in service and make that available to you in the next Tuesday. So once it's been signed in the active branch and flighted, ship room, they validate it, it's a good fix. We then go and we check it in, we backport it out, and we ship it out. So we validated with a broader set of users by the engineering team who owns that feature, who owns that code. But here's the most important thing to you as users. I flighted it, I validated it on the next version of Windows 10. So you install that fix on 1803 and it's good for you. You can be confident that when you take the update to 1809, that same exact fix that you've now found unblocked you is in that code base, and you won't have the issue of taking the update and seeing regression back to your problem again. because in fact, we made the fix in the next update first, and it just works, continue the same going forward. And that's why we go through this step now in terms of fixing it in the next release, validate it and signing off there, and then bringing it back. So it might well be the case that if you ask for a bug, if you need a bug fix, the first thing that you'll be asked to go do is validate it in the next version of Windows 10, because that's where we have the code fix to begin with, and we'll have you jump forward, validate it there, and then bring it back for the rest of your users to be able to go use. On average, for average bug, it's about 90 days. We've done it in as short of 3 or 4 days for critical bugs, and some have taken longer. Either they've been issues that are hard to investigate, or it's taken us a long time to get broad enough coverage to validate. But on average, it's about 90 days to get bugs fixed and shipped out on Patch Tuesday. That number also, by the way, coincides often the case with our commitments around security fixes and when we need to disclose them to the fix. How do we prioritize this work in terms of the developer community, in terms of the developers that we have making the fixes? Active security attacks get prioritized against all of the work. If there's an active attack going on, we need a security fix. Everything else sort of stops, and we prioritize developers to go work on these things so that I can get you a patch out as quickly as possible. In many cases, these are what you'll see as out-of-band fixes that will occur any time to protect you from that particular issue. Mission critical issues come next. These are mission critical to you. If you report them in terms of the bugs, causing you a criticality in terms of your business and what you're trying to go do. Post-release, these are issues that have been caused by previous fix from us that I need to bring back so that we unblock you and get you back to a known good state. Security fixes that have been undisclosed yet, that we're actively working on, that we're targeting for the next release, but we haven't told the world about yet. And so these are obviously important to us. And then lastly, we get to the functionality issues to where it's a quality fix against the product that should be working. So if you issue a bug request to us, so we can slot it and sort of know where it's going to fit into our prioritization. Again, I don't know if there's an active attack going on at a particular moment. Usually there's not. But these are the things it's competing with and how you prioritize that particular work. Our testing process, we have our manual and automated testing process that goes on internally. Once we've passed those quality gates in terms of the code reviews, and then it goes and gets flighted out to the Windows Insider Preview program. If you don't participate in this today, I would highly encourage you to go do that. Not only for you to get early access to the bug fixes, if these are important to you, but this is actually the program by which you get access and functionality in the product. You can see what's coming in the next release. Many of those things require you to do planning and design work to take advantage of those. So if you haven't, have some folks in the organization who are using preview builds, and then you'll also have access, the earliest access to the bug fixes that will be coming out in Patch Tuesday. So, call to action in terms of takeaways. Patch Tuesdays you know about, you probably have a policy to deploy those out quickly. If you're not using the C releases, consider having those deployed on some devices. This will give you a preview to the quality fixes that are coming in the next month. They're not optional, they don't get installed automatically. But if you want to go down and use those, you can get early preview and make sure you know what's coming, see if the issue is fixed on any bugs you've reported. Join the Insider Preview program for business. This gives you those access to those things that are being flighted out in the next release. Use test strings as a way of validating before you go out to your broad community and knowing that we've addressed your issues or the new issues don't pop up. And then lastly, if you don't today, use Windows Telemetry, use Windows Analytics. This gives us the fastest, best feedback in terms of issues that might be occurring on your devices so I can fix them in many cases without you having to report them. And through the use of Windows Analytics, you're getting this information back for your devices. You can use this in the Windows Analytics tool in terms of the way you roll this out and make your users have a better experience. With that, we've gone through our time, but I'm here now for a few moments if you have questions. We're happy to hang around afterwards on how we do patch Tuesday fixes. Yes? So the question was, why did we decide, or what was our termination in terms of the making SSUs called security, which is something that just happened last week. This is for Windows 7, so if maybe you didn't know about this. Actually, I just blogged on this last week. Going forward for Windows 7, SSUs are updates. They're special updates that actually update the servicing stack in Windows 7 itself. And the reason they're separate is there are times where I need to make a fix to the servicing stack to unblock or enable me to go fix some other part of the product. And in the past, they were marked as critical. And many customers, because they have decided to only install security fixes, did not install security stack or servicing stack updates. And so there were cases, and it occurred last month, where if you installed the latest security stack or security updates, they would fail to install because it was dependent upon a fix in the servicing stack. Correct. The failure was because the problem, turns out, was the servicing stack was still the old one that hadn't been fixed. The fix for the servicing stack was shipped back in 2016. So for customers who had not installed that, they could not install the security stack. And so for going forward, so we don't live in this case where you can't install security fix, servicing stack updates will also be tagged as security, so they go hand in hand. And any security fixes will move forward. And this for customers, security tag, as they say, which things will fix, they'll get the SSU as well.
Windows 10 issue.
That was the Windows 7. So in the case of Windows 10 servicing model works separately where the cumulative updates will pull those in. In Windows 7, we don't have cumulative updates, which is why, since you didn't install this 2 years ago, it's never been installed since. And installing the latest version doesn't go back and install that. With Windows 10, we'll move it forward automatically, and we can make a Windows 10 fix dependent upon the SSU. So that scenario won't happen on Windows 10. It does happen on Windows 7, again, because we have these individual fixes, and we can't have cumulative updates in 7. I'm sorry? Yes.
From a 2008. Really? I have systems.
They, correct. So the question was cumulative updates. Windows 10, so Server 2016 or all version Windows, we only do cumulative updates. Cumulative updates means that the patch that comes out every month, it's about 1.2 gigabytes in size in total, includes all the fixes I've ever shipped for that release of Windows 10. So if you're on an LTSB, it goes all the way back to 2016. If you're on 1803, it goes back to March. The beauty of that is I take my notebook, I get on my sailboat, I sail to Tahiti, I haven't been patched in 3 months. I plug my notebook into the internet because, of course, the first thing I'm going to do at the bar in Tahiti is get on the internet to patch my machine. But my machine will automatically patch with everything that's happened since I was last patched. It happens automatically in that cumulative update. You don't have to do anything special for that. That did not exist in Windows 7, Windows 8, or Server 2003. In that case, I issued individual KBs or individual fixes for every fix, and you had to install them all individually. Now, what we did for Windows 7 about a year and a half ago is we issued a roll-up, which rolled up most but not all those previous fixes that you could choose to install but not everybody has. And I now issue to devices in Windows Update, a cumulative update, or for enterprises, I issue a just security patch, which includes just the security fixes for that month. Again, it includes all the security fixes for that month, but again, it's not cumulative, which is if you don't install September, October's does not include September's, it includes just October's. You have to go back and install September's.
Able the ability to have features on registry. That going to be.
So the question in terms of registry, there's always, and it will be the case, there's always cases where I will check in, or I'll have a fix, or I will have a security fix that we make conditional across registry. As an example, for Spectre Meltdown in January, we had to issue a security fix. If you were using a third-party security product, AV product, many of them weren't compatible, or because they were hooking the kernel, you had to get a new version of those before you could install the firmware. So what we had to go do is we had to put a registry setting in, which is until your security vendor attested that their version was good, that security fix for me would be disabled so we didn't blue screen your device. And so we don't like to go do this, but yes, in many cases, I will make things optional by registry settings so you can handle things like that. You would have to set yourself, because for instance, I don't know which security tool or when they're going to. So if you were using security vendor XYZ, and I haven't heard from them, I will turn my thing off by default. Whenever XYZ gives you, then you would go in and turn it back on. That's why you have to know about that. Yep. I'll be hanging around for a few more minutes, but the next person's up. Otherwise, thanks for coming, and hopefully you got what you wanted and some insights.